It's really, really helpful, so I hear. Hello, hello. Hi. Hi. How's everybody doing? Hello, hello. Gotta lurk because I'm working. Hey, no worries, no worries. I don't mind lurking at all. I'm just gonna be yapping most of the day anyways. Again, everything sound okay? Or is the background music too loud? Or am I too quiet? One of two? Doing well, but about to watch about. Oh, nice. I still have not gotten a chance to catch up on a lot of Critical Role, but oh my gosh, Vox and Machina is one of my I have such a soft spot in my heart for campaign 1. Too loud? Okay. Thank you for letting me know. How's the balance now? Are we good? We good? Everything sound okay? I turned it down quite a bit. Better? Okay. I can lower it just a little bit more too. Okay. Yay! But I hope everybody's doing okay. Just a real quick intro once again. My name is Max Bailey. I am your amicable animated scarecrow. Came to life one day and now is everybody else's problem. And today is a little bit of just a fun little chatting stream. Like I said, I wanted to do a drawing stream at one point, but right now I think I kind of overworked my wrist, so it's a little tender. It's a little tender right now. I'm fine, but it's just, little pinches here and there. I don't know, stitching maybe a little too tight or something. But today, we are gonna go through some some farming sim spouses, which is basically my way of going, my way of looking at all the spouses that I have romanced, and even some of the ones that y'all have talked about, and basically going, are these really good picks? Or do we delude ourselves? No. I'm just gonna be like, hey, this is who I liked in this game, and this is why, and this is how I rate them. Also, you're a Pretty Cure fan? Yeah. I've watched quite a bit of Pretty Cure. Not all. There's a lot of seasons I haven't watched all the way through, but I definitely have favorites of different seasons. Like of course Heart Catch and Go Princess are my favorites. So I can yap on about those for a while, but I think let's go ahead and get into the actual. Wait one second. Is this the right one? Ah, yes, this is. All right, let's see if I can get this transition to work right. And yay! Oh, and I forgot to include my desktop audio. Gosh, dang it all! Gosh, dang it all! Okay, hold on. Alright, why is that not playing? Okay, can y'all hear the background music? Just something nice and chill. Oh, I gotta lower it in my headphones. Wow, that is loud in my headphones. Wow. Oh, God. Ow, my ears. Ah! My non-existent ears are hurting. Let me know how everything sounds. Okay, there we go. Alrighty. So, as you can see here, we've got quite an assortment of folks to go through. And you may be looking at that, you're like, Flax, I see you've included some folks 2 times. Well, one time was on purpose. Another time was completely accidental. But it'll make more sense as I get into things. Let me lower it in my headphones just a wee bit more. There we go. But we're just gonna go through and just look at some of these classics. This was as you can see from tab name, it basically was a Stardew Valley spouse thing, but I decided to move it into more of just expanding farming sim spouses in general. There we go. Okay, so I think think just to start off things, let's go through the classics that people know as far as like modern day farming sims, and let's just go through Stardew Valley. Now, I will say my taste in a lot of, if you can tell by some of the ones I've picked out here, my taste is gearing more towards a very specific like set of characters. But let's start. Okay, so a really requested one to look at was Abigail, and I think she's one of the favorites. I think in terms of Stardew Valley, I think it's between her and Shane that I see people really talk about a lot. Everybody really loves Abigail. And this is where I'm already gonna start getting a lot of flack. I think I'm starting getting a lot of flack. I meant to change some of these titles because I don't really like to do like, oh, this is top tier, S tier, or whatever. But I think for the sake of this will work. I am going to put Abigail in C. And here's why. Here's why, okay? When I was playing Stardew Valley, I didn't realize she was a marriage candidate because she seemed really young. She talked in a way that I was like, oh, this is a teenager out of high school. Like right out of high school. I didn't realize she was actually like a marriage candidate when I first played Stardew Valley. Like her, Sebastian, and Sam, I thought were all just like the local high schoolers. Because sometimes in like farming games that I've played, you have you have like really young kids, and then you have the older kids, right? I thought that I truly did think that Abigail was a teenager. So I didn't realize she was a marriage candidate until I saw the hearts next to her name at one point, and I was like, oh wait, what? What? She's an adult? So that being said, I see why people like her. I see why people like her because I guess especially for a younger crowd who plays these games, like she definitely has similar like resonances with like oh, my family doesn't really let me do what I want. I have a dad who is very like in the thinks in the past, doesn't really like let me do what I really want to do, thinks, you know, girls have to behave a certain way, blah, 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 blah. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. And I will say, I think her design is really cute. Yeah, for me though, I still think of her as being she's still baby to me. She's so baby to me. I'm just like, oh, she's just starting out. She hasn't been hit with life's hardships to the same degree that, you know, I have. She hasn't been punched down by life enough. Which is, you know, not a great way to look at things, but to me, I never went for her myself, but I do see why people like her, if that makes sense. So you younger person her, yeah. I probably should have let folks know. I'm not really like I'm not really that young. I would put myself more on like, I wouldn't call myself old. I definitely wouldn't call myself old. Lightly seasoned? Is that a good way to put it? Lightly seasoned? Like, seasoned implies, you know, you have salt and pepper hair, you got that gray fox going on, you know, you're old enough to give, you know, young folks advice and them to actually take it. But lightly seasoned is, hey, I can still blend in with the young crowd. I mean, to this day, people still ask me, like, are you above 18? And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm a scarecrow, so, like, age is kind of a nebulous thing. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. So, to me, Abigail, like, her, Sebastian, and Sam are all on that younger spectrum of things. Of, like, just, they seem too young to me to want to pursue. That being said, since I'm already thinking about, you know, I think in terms of like age, I think, I don't know if these are actually the ages of these people, but this is kind of where I place everybody age-wise. You know, it's like, Abigail seems like one of the youngest of the town. If it's not her, then it's definitely Maru. And then it just kind of goes up, and towards the I think I remember reading that Shane was one of the oldest, if not the oldest in the group, and he definitely acts that way. He definitely acts as like the oldest of the bachelors and bachelorettes in town. So that being said, let's see. For Sam and Sebastian, again, I think I might have to group them all into that same kind of C tier, which is, I know, like it feels like a mortal sin to put Sebastian into C tier. But again, he just seemed like a kid. Like, definitely somebody who is like, you know, a little bit more bitter due to his, like, you know, family circumstances. But to me, it just seemed like kid needs to see the world before like, you know, settling down somewhere. I don't know, maybe. But him and Sam both had that, like, yeah, they were mature in some ways, like Sam looking out for his little brother, and for Jazz, looking out for, you know, Vincent and Jazz when he did. To me, I'm just like, they still seem so young. They still seem so young. So I didn't really consider them as marriage candidates. But again, I know why people like Sebastian, because he's the edgy emo boy, and there was a time where I did go for that sort of character, as we might get into with some of my other likes. Maru, weirdly enough, I thought she was the older sibling of Sebastian for the longest time. When I knew they were siblings, but I thought that Maru was older than Sebastian because she didn't act like the young sibling. But even still, I am sorry, but she has some of the, like, the blandest. I think she has some of the blandest writing. Like, she's just kind of there. I never really got a feel for her personality, other than she's the inventor, you know? Which kind of pisses me off a little bit, because, like, you have a character who is really, really smart and who grew up in a family that really values intelligence. Like, give her more of a personality. Give her, like, I don't know, make her, like, really confident in that she's really smart, and have that bite her in the butt or something. I don't know. I wanted more from Maru, I think, in terms of her character writing. Let's see. And then I'm sorry, I have to put our little jock boy into the D category. You know how they say first impressions are everything? My first impression of this guy was him being really weird and sexist, and being like, you've got some things to unlearn, but I'm not gonna be the one to help you unlearn that, my guy. That's on somebody else. I am not gonna be your teacher. I can change him. No, that's not me. I've never been I can change him. Sort of, like, I've never gone for those characters. I've kind of, Well, I say that, but when I look back at my previous interests, maybe before I would have gone for either Sebastian or, oh no, I'm blanking on his name. Oh no, that's a sign that I really don't remember him much. I can't remember his name. What was it? It was, oh my gosh. What is his name? I forget. But my point still stands. I am not really into the whole, like, oh, I can save him. I like that sort of thing. Now, Penny, I think I would put slightly above. Penny, to me, definitely felt, I know she's technically on the younger side with the rest of the bachelors and bachelorettes in town. Penny, I think, had one, better writing, and two, she really, like, despite how quiet and, like, simple, like, she kind of was, she had some really, really interesting writing. And I feel like she also had a dynamic in town that I don't think anybody else had. So that I really, really enjoyed about, like, anytime I went with her, like hard events, I was like, oh, I really did feel like I was learning more about her. I still didn't go for her in the end, but just because I had some others that I was looking at. But I really did. I really did consider going after her for the longest time because I think she was really really cute and really really interesting in terms of like her family dynamic. Haley. Haley. Oh no. If I really wasn't into the guys being like jerks to me at first, I really don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Don't hate me. Don't hate me. I really I really don't like Haley. I really don't like her. I'm sorry, but I don't want to put her in because is reserved for very special cases, I would say. Haley to me, I just one, I never really care for that mean girl sort of like I think in terms of like character stuff, she was a very like, oh, I see what they're gonna do with her character immediately. I see what they're planning to do in terms of like, oh, she's gonna have a redemption arc. She's gonna be, she's gonna learn to be more chill and stuff like that. But like every time I interacted with her, I just didn't want to talk to her even more. She was just so like, oh my god, you're wearing that? Ugh, great. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. I get enough of this. I get enough of preppy people in my daily life. I really don't need this in my video games. So I eventually like was like, I'm fine with I'm fine with not talking to her more. Oh, yesterday was Pretty Cure Day. Oh, I didn't know there was an actual day for it. Nice. Oh, or do you mean like an episode release? Because that's another thing I haven't been able to keep up much with. Like, as much as I like Pretty Cure, I really haven't been able to find time to keep up or find ways to keep up as much as I used to. But it is something that eventually I want to do. I really want to watch it again. Leah. When it comes to Leah, let's see. How do I remember her? I think I'm comfortable putting her more with Penny. Wow, now that I put them side by side, they look really similar. What was it with Stardew Valley and redheads? Okay, why was there like 3 or 4 different redheads that all kind of looked the same? Like, I know it's not just like the art style, but they really did kind of look similar. And I think at first I confused Leah and Penny a lot. And I especially confused Leah and Robin, who is Sebastian's mom, the carpenter of the town. But I do like Leah's story of like somebody who is very much like the farmer and trying to get back on her feet, trying to escape, some stuff in life. So yeah, that was it. They do look similar, yeah. The day celebrating the franchise. Oh, so it's like oh, okay, cool. I didn't know that there was a day for that. Huh. Learn something new every day. Let's see. Emily? Emily is another one of those characters that I truly did not know what to think of Emily when I first met her. I didn't get that she was a fashionista. I didn't get that she was like a spiritual person. All of her heart events are very weird. She's a very weird character in that a lot of the ways you interact with her and like get to know her better are kind of vague. It just, I don't know. I really don't think I wanted to like I think I wanted to like Emily more, but she just kind of falls flat for me again. Ah, man, I feel like I'm being such a hater. But I promise I do like characters. Now, Elliot, I really, really liked his story. He's not my all-time favorite, but I do think I really liked learning about Elliot. I know there are people that are like, oh, he's so weird looking. He's so pompous. He really, to me, he didn't ever read as pompous, but just somebody who like read a lot and, you know, had a lot of ideas and was bitter. And he actually is a really, really huge romantic if you go into a lot of his story events. And I really liked a lot of his events because he really does try to be a huge romantic for you once he realizes he likes you, and really kind of attributes like a lot of his later success to like you believing in him. And it's a really cute series of heart events. I really like them. I could be a really big sucker for that sort of like romantic thing. It's silly, but yeah, I really liked Elliot. I don't care what people say. I liked him. And now you'll really start to see my taste. I adored Harvey. I adored Harvey so much. To me, when I was romancing folks in town, when playing Stardew, I really drew myself to Harvey just because he was just a genuinely sweet guy. He was like, yeah, it was yeah, I really liked him. I really liked that he was an older person in town, and two, that like he really didn't put any pretenses on himself, if that makes sense. Like he really, what you saw was what you got, but in a good way, you know. There wasn't this whole like, oh, he's gonna get a redemption arc, or you're gonna warm up to him, like he's gonna warm up to you, sort of thing. No, he was just a really simple guy and really just cared for a lot of people. And also his whole like his heart events, like you really do learn a very interesting side of him when you like romance him more and you get to learn about him more. So I really like that. Previous space, yeah. And I'm sorry. I am so sorry to everybody who loves Shane. I get his story. I understand why his story is so like impactful to a lot of people. He is too messy for me. He is too messy. I don't mind. This is gonna sound horrible, especially considering my later interests, later folks that I look into. Shane is way too messy because, okay, without going into too many spoilers about his story, in case folks do end up picking up the game and playing it themselves, Shane is a character that deals with really heavy depression and admittedly alcoholism. And I understand for folks that I think he's a really good example of a redemption arc in these sorts of games. To me, I was like, this is way too much for me. I'm not ready to romance this guy. And honestly, I just was never drawn to him in general. So too much in a farming game. You would be surprised how dark some of these stories can get at times. Because honestly, especially in a lot of older farming games, some of the stories got pretty dark. Some of them got like really like tragic in a lot of ways. Which I'll get into more when I start talking more about Harvest Moon and all that sort of thing. So, let's see. But I think that ends all the Stardew folks. So now we're moving on to Harvest Moon, which is probably my favorite category, if you can tell by the amount of Harvest Moon characters I have put on here. Let's see. We're gonna start with the folks from, I want to say this is these are Friends of Mineral Town, which is the oldest Harvest Moon I remember playing. I might have played some older ones in the past, but I truly don't remember. But these are the ones I remember. Cliff. I really liked Cliff's story. Like, if memory serves, Cliff in his game was when you meet him in Friends in Mineral Town and More Friends in Mineral Town. He was a traveler, and I believe he lost his family. I might be confusing him, but like he hangs around the church a lot. He really keeps to himself, but he's overall a very, very like sweet guy, just very quiet, keeps to himself a lot, that sort of thing. I also really liked his style and that he looked kind of like a bird. I really liked that he got like, especially in like old art of him, he really does kind of look like a little hawk and stuff like that. And I like that there's a potential for him to just leave permanently if you don't get to know him, and that was a real thing to worry about. That was a real thing to worry about in those older games, is that sometimes, even though you like a character, if you just don't talk to them, they could just go. And it got kind of sad to think about that, like, oh, I didn't realize you would leave. Like, people take for granted, I think, in a lot of like farming games that everybody just kind of stays in town. But for Cliff, like, and for a lot of like people, both IRL and in games, of like, if they don't have a reason to stay in town, they're not gonna stay in town. So yeah. But I think that it was what makes him such a really interesting character to me. The fact that he could leave and very much never come back. Even if I wasn't romancing Cliff, if I couldn't get him to stay, yeah, exactly. At the very least, people I really liked interacting with Cliff, if for no other reason than to make sure he was happy in town, because he just such a quiet and glum guy, but you could tell, like, hey man, you got something here that you're not gonna find anywhere else. You might as well stay. And so there was always this push to really keep him to stay. So I really like that about Cliff's character. We're putting Rick in, and for folks who know, they know why he's such an asshole. But to be more explicit, I guess, Rick is a very protective character. I'm trying to be kind. I'm trying really, really hard to be kind. Rick is a very protective brother for his sister Potpourri, and of his mother, who admittedly is very sick, you know, so I understand the protectiveness. However, being mean to Kai and nobody else, just because Kai is a little nice to your sister, yeah, that's a little weird. That's a little weird, buddy. Especially, you know, considering Kai is black, or at the very least, he is a person of color. And considering he's the only one you're this mean to, it don't look great, buddy. It don't look great. It's not a great look. Yeah, so Rick firmly belongs into the, firmly belongs in that category. Oh my gosh, I don't like Rick at all. In fact, you know what? Hold on a second. I'm making a. Wait. I need it. Oh. Hold on. This is important. All right, this is very important. Rick is going in the piss tier. Rick is going in his own tier, and it's going to be the piss tier. This is his category. This is where he lives now. All right. And moving on to Gray. Wait, was that his name? I'm pretty sure, more than positive, his name was Gray. Yeah, Rick/Negative. Exactly. God damn it, Rick. Gray, I also remember being somebody I liked romance, and I know what I said about not liking assholes and not liking, like, characters like that. Gray is one of those characters of, like, he really does, he warms up, and he warms up fast, I think, to folks than he's more willing to admit. And I really liked his little romance story. He was very cute, very, like, a very classic tsundere, I would say. I hate how this image is cutting him off, but you all know what he looks like. He has the classic Uma hat. He's got the overalls. I don't know. I thought he was really, really cute. I thought, like, despite how much of a front he puts up. Oh, I forgot to put March on this list. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me hide my screen really, really, really quick here. While I grab March again. Well, I grab March. His arc was nice with his grandpa. Yeah. I think that was the other thing, is that, like, he had this really cute thing with his grandpa that I really liked too. All right, hold on a second. Okay, sorry. I just realized I forgot to include somebody on the list or included so many redheads, and I forgot one that everybody really, really likes. Okay. And there we go. Okay, we're back. I forgot to include March from Field of Mystria. And I wanted to do that while I was thinking of it, because if I don't do something while I'm thinking of it, I will forget. Just flat out forget it. Does anybody remember the Lufia Curse of the Sinistrals on DS? I don't think I know that one. Is it like is it one of the Harvest Moon games, or because that doesn't sound familiar at all to me. Huh. Yeah, I don't think I remember that one. But let's see. Oh, and Anne. Now, I'm gonna fully admit to something here. Remake of Lufia 2 on S. Yeah, that name's not sounding familiar, unfortunately. But I might have to go check that out. Anyway, going on to Anne. I will fully admit, I did not actually romance Anne in the game I played because I had friends of Mineral Town. I didn't have Mineral Town itself. So I couldn't romance her in that version because Friends of Mineral Town was only the girl side. It wasn't the oh no, more Friends of Mineral Town was the girl version. I had the girl version. I knew that much. I couldn't find the regular Friends of Mineral Town, so I never got a chance to actually romance Anne in the original game. But I did play the remake for the Switch that they came out with. And while I don't really care much for the redesigns at all, first of all, I think Anne's design is really, really solid. I don't understand why they had to change her design so much. It might have been a fight with Natsume for all I know. I only had the girls' side at first, and then found out there was a game you could romance the guys, and I begged. Yeah. Well, for me, it was I could never find the guy version. It didn't matter to me one way or another which one I got. I just couldn't remember. I just couldn't I just could never find those versions of the game. So I could only ever find, Harvest Moon DS Cute, more Friends of Mineral Town, Another Wonderful Life. I could never find the quote-unquote guy version of it, which really sucks because some of the girls' designs in the in the older games were really, really, really cute. And yeah. Anyway, but to that degree, I really liked Anne's story. I think she's really, I think she's really cute. Um, I liked her story in the remake, but I also don't remember how much it differed from the original. But I do think that she she's good. I don't think she's like top tier for me, but she is really, really cute, and I remember really liking her at the very least. Man, I don't remember when or where I got them, but I did have both, though I got more Friends in Mineral Town later. Yeah, for me, what was the order I got the game in? I think I got DS Cute first, actually. The one for just for the DS. And then I found out that there was a compatibility thing with more Friends in Mineral Town, so I got more Friends in Mineral Town. I didn't play very far into more Friends in Mineral Town. I think I got far enough to romance and marry? Did I marry Gray at the very least in that game? I think I mostly got more Friends in Mineral Town because I really wanted to romance the Doctor in DS Cute, if that makes sense. So for DS Cute, there was a feature where if you plugged in more Friends in Mineral Town into the DS at the same time as your DS Cute, because, you know, DS's at the time had 2 cartridge ability to where you could have a DS game and then the Game Boy slot. Yeah, the Game Boy slot. So I remember really, really liking the Doctor. The Doctor in more Friends in Mineral Town. But the problem is that I quickly the problem I quickly ran into is that the Doctor only visited on some days, so it was really, really hard to romance him. And even then, he really liked Ellie, and I didn't want to. This is how much of a not homewrecker I was as a kid. If I knew a character had a crush on another or had feelings for another, I often didn't go for them. It was like, no, I can't break that up. They have something going. I can't do it. Even though there was nothing locking in those things, I don't even think there was a rival marriage function in DS Cute. But in my mind, I was like, no, I can't break them up. I can't do it. There's something going on there. I can't interrupt this. I was the opposite. If I was gunning for it in the run, I would actively avoid. You see, I would think about doing that, but the problem is that eventually the little curiosity would be like, well, how do they interact as a couple? Do they at least have good chemistry as a couple? And more than oftentimes the answer was yes, they did. So I was like, man, dang it. But also happy for you. I especially did that a lot in Animal Parade. Animal Parade, oh my gosh, that is probably my favorite Animal Crossing, God. Favorite Harvest Moon. Oh my god. It's because it has the name Animal in it. It has the name Animal in it. But I'll get to Animal Parade in a second here, because I have to go into my first crush. I'm not joking. This was my first... Nami was my first game crush. Now, if you remember what I said, though, I only ever played the girl versions of the game of the Harvest Moon games. So, imagine my surprise when I realized that Nami was not a guy, and I had been giving her gifts so many times, thinking, oh, why isn't her romance activating? What's going on? Until I actually read the little pamphlet that came with the game, and I realized, Nami's a girl? I can't romance her? What? And I was heartbroken. I was truly heartbroken. Because it wasn't a matter of it wasn't a matter of little me, it wasn't a matter of oh, I'm a girl, I should, I can't romance girls. It was a matter of what do you mean the game won't let me romance her? She's really cute, and why not? I was genuinely so upset. Oh my gosh. I think I found out all the rival events because once I got married, I would restart the games because I thought it was considered winning the game. Honestly, I think in some of these the older games, I think there was a Harvest Moon game, at least for the girl version, where if you got married, that was it. That was all there was to the game. The guy version of the game would continue, but the girl version, you're just expected, oh, marriage, that's it. You did it. You won. Your goal was to get married as a girl. Yeah, we're gonna unpack that sort of feelings later. Love your model. Ah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I feel like it was only fitting for me to do this sort of like spouse evaluation for farming games since I am a scarecrow, so it felt very, very fitting. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the big O. So luckily they have definitely changed that from these days, but man was it bad. Man was it bad in the old and the wild west of games when girls didn't play. What are you talking about? Girls don't play video games. Whatever. And finally, moving into the first Harvest Moon guy I ever romanced, Marlin. Marlin, I don't care if this is nostalgia factor coming into play. Marlin deserves that A tier. The old Marlin deserves that A tier. I really, really liked Marlin's story. And I know what I said about like, oh, if a character really likes somebody, then I won't go for them. I think that more so now. When I first played this game, I was a petty little shit. To put it very bluntly, I was a very petty little shit. Marlin, if folks don't remember, Marlin had a small crush on the girl who also worked at his family's farm, Cecilia. Or no, not Cecilia. I do this every time. Celia. Problem is that like my brother would sing, "Oh Cecilia," every time he saw her on screen. So I kept thinking her name was Cecilia, but no, it's just Celia. And don't get me wrong, Celia is adorable, absolutely precious, does nothing wrong in her life. The very sweet little thing. Little me hated her with a passion. Little me hated her with a passion because Marlin liked her. And again, this was me when I was like, like just a little stack of hay probably. I was very young playing this game. But I did everything in my power to never talk to Celia. I did everything I could to never talk to her. And nowadays, I'm just like, wow, I was real petty then. But overall, Marlin's story is very, very sweet. His not to go in, again, too many too many details. But Marlin's story is very much like, there's a reason he's in the valley, and he doesn't like it. He doesn't like being in the valley. But, you know, he has to be in the valley, basically. And as angry as he is about the situation, he knows, well, I'm here, so might as well make the best of it. And again, it's funny because even in the book, they call him one of the oldest bachelors in town. And he definitely acts it. He definitely has this act of, like, he's seen the world. He's definitely, like, he's bitter enough to have experienced life. So, yeah. That was me with Potpourri. I was like, back of my man's Kai. Okay, to be fair, Kai is a catch. Kai is absolutely a catch. He was very, very cool. I really liked Kai. I should have included him on here, but I forgot. I plumb forgot. So, let's see. Now moving on to Gustafa. Gustafa, let's see. When did I ever romance him in the? I think I did romance him I'm putting in the B thing because he was very, very sweet. He was very like he's a musician that he really did feel like a free spirit musician and was very, very like down to earth, but also like down to earth in the way that wasn't like, or actually no, better way to put it is he's definitely a free spirit, but not so free spirit that he isn't aware of like, hey, life's hard. So he's just like, hey, I know life's hard, but I got music. That's the best thing I can offer folks in this trying times. So I think I didn't actually romance him when I first played the game. I think I romanced him like after a few times of playing through the game and getting Marlin a couple of times. I went back and romanced Gustafa after seeing him interact with Nami, and that was really, really sweet. I think those two are actually a really, really solid rival couple, if anything. Your debut was a random scroll for me. Thank you. I'm so glad that like I'm so glad that like you ended up coming here. That means a lot to me, actually. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Well, I hope you're enjoying this chill little like first stream as like officially me. So I know I'm yammering on a lot, but I hope you're still enjoying your time. Seeing you like Otto solidify the subscription. Heck yeah. Oh my gosh. I love Otto a lot, and I love a lot of her music, even though it's so hard to sing. I really do like Otto, and maybe one day I'll consider at the very least including one of her songs at karaoke. I don't think I have the skill it takes to like truly do her a cover of her justice, or at least not just yet. But yeah, thank you though. Continuing on in the Harvest Moon category, we have Vaughn, who I don't know if anybody knows what game he is from. He is from I believe it was Island of Happiness. It was either Island of Happiness or Sunshine Islands. It was for the DS. I think it was Island of Happiness. There's like, I know there was two for the DS that were considered like sequels of one another. Hi, Barn Cat. Sorry, my cat just decided to like come over to the field here and say hi to me. I woke him up apparently. Let's see. Vaughn was a really good example of a very standoffish character that you didn't see much a lot, and it took a long time to really get to know him because he only came to the island on very specific days. And again, this was one of those games with rival marriages, and I saw him act. I think what really got me interested in him was actually not me seeing one of his heart events, but seeing one of his rival heart events first. Because he had a really soft spot for this really soft-spoken girl in town. I don't remember her name. It wasn't Mary, but it was somebody who looked very similar to Mary. From Harvest Moon 64. Somebody that looked very similar to that. I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but I just remember seeing him act this kind of like sheepish thing before I was like, oh, this is a new side. Hold on a second here. Let me see more about this cowboy. Yeehaw! So I think for that reason alone, I think I want to put him into the B category because he really does warm up to you and you learn a lot more about him as you go on. And I liked his progression, basically. And moving on to Animal Parade, which is by far and away my absolute favorite Harvest Moon game. If there was an easy way to play this on stream, I would, but I don't have the means to do so right now, both in terms of like capturing the game and also the systems, because I think my Wii is in another shed somewhere, some nebulous shed somewhere. So I don't know where it is, but I'm gonna have to dig it out eventually, maybe, if I can ever get it to work. But Nebushed. Yeah, the Nebushed. A great way to put it. I really my favorite romance option in Animal Parade is the wizard. The wizard who you eventually learn the name of, but up until you learn the name of, you really only call him the wizard. I really liked him. I thought he was a very, like, another example of a quiet, kind of soft-spoken character who you really don't interact with much up until one part of the story, where you really do need his help. But I liked him because he didn't have a rival marriage, and rival marriages were very, very prominent in Animal Cross, and it did it again. Animal Parade. Rival marriages were very big in Animal Parade because rival marriages, one, they actually did get married, and two, they could have a kid and really populate the island. So I think in a way you were almost encouraged to activate these rival marriages because you again got new NPCs to interact with. You got the kids, and the kids were so cute. I really loved the kids' designs in that game. If I could have a Nintendo system, it'd be 3DS. Oh heck yeah. Do I still have my 3DS? I think I do. I think I do somewhere somewhere in my shed, but not the Nebula shed, but my regular shed. I think I have it somewhere. I just haven't dug it up in a hot minute. So I might bring back I might get back into my 3DS games, see what all games I still have for it. Because I did a lot of downsizing, I won't lie. Let's see. But Wizard, I really liked his character. He was very, very... He was a really great, like, really well done, mysterious character, I think. In terms of, like, he really didn't say much, but he was also in the middle of town to where you really... It wasn't like you couldn't avoid him, but he was very easy to befriend once you learned what he liked. And that easy to access character made him very, like, approachable to me. I really, really liked Wizard. I thought he was very sweet. I also just really love his design. I think his design is, like, a perfect example of, like, a wizard in a slightly modern town. Like, modern enough to, you know, have streetlights and stuff, but still have farming. He really did feel like just kind of a strange guy. But I really liked Wizard. He was very sweet. Silver hair also. The silver hair was really, really cool. Another character, all the designs of Animal Parade, I think, were also very, very cool and very storybook-esque. And I think Harvest Goddess, I think Animal Parade has the prettiest Harvest Goddess design in all of Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons. I think as iconic as the double bun with the braids look is for the Harvest Goddess, I think this design specifically, like, hold on. I need to actually add her properly. I need to show y'all properly. Because she's just so pretty. She's so stupid pretty, it's not fair. Where is it? Where? Haha. Here. Like, look at her design. Tell me she's not an actual goddess. Like, I'm sorry, it's so blurry, but you have to understand. These are trying times. But, like, she's so pretty. And honestly, this is one of those games where, like, the art you see is almost identical to how she appears in game. Like, truly identical. Early Palutena, yeah, she does have that sort of, like, vibe, but to me, she definitely reads as a goddess, like a goddess of the earth. And truly, like, I really, really love her. It's funny because this is another really embarrassing thing. I never romanced her. So again, another one of those cases of like, hey, why are you putting the spouse on here if you never romanced her? In my defense, I was very intimidated by Pretty Lady, okay? You look at her and tell me she's not an actual goddess, okay? She's just so, so pretty. So, yeah. And I will say, one really funny thing I will add about Animal Parade is that you could marry the Harvest Goddess. Oh my god, I can't believe I almost forgot. I did not put, give me 1 second, because I also have to put down, I have to show you guys the Harvest King, who is another, oh my god. He's another really, like, damn character. Oh, this is a much better render. What the hell? Okay, I have to put him on here because Harvest King. Yeah, this is the only game with the Harvest King actually shown. And honestly, he's pretty damn hot. He's pretty damn cool. I mean, to be fair, you have Strawberry. Yeah. Right? You know that classic, like, if only I had a brain? Well, yeah, it's a tragic thing that all scarecrows are born without brains. Let's see. Add. Let me add the Harvest King here. Because, goddamn, is he... Yeah. Like, look at this man! Look at this man! Look at him! Look at him! Yeah, bro! Yeah, like, and he definitely, I will say, these are the only two, like, hello, I'm pansexual. I know, right? So, like, this is one of those cases where the gods actually felt like gods. They actually felt like gods in the game, in the way they acted, and how alien some concepts were for them as immortal beings. Gives Travis Willingham. Oh, Travis Willingham would do a killing with voicing this guy, I think. Travis Willingham or, who else? Who else could do a really good voice for him? Honestly, Travis Willingham. Oh, no, wait, what is Soldier 76 voice actor? Fred Tatascioni? Fred something. I remember, but Soldier 76's voice would also be, I think, very solid for him. Laura Bailey is Harvest Queen? I don't see Laura Bailey as much. Hi, Barn Cat. Hi. I may have never played this game, but if anybody asks, Harvest King was my husband. Oh my gosh. I do remember, though, the reason I do remember now the reason I never romanced a Harvest King himself was because getting to him constantly was a struggle. Let's see. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me bring up the tier list. Let me bring up the tier list again. But I remember the reason I never got around to romancing the Harvest King was because getting to him was a real struggle, because you had to go up a mountain, and then like you were like, you know how in most farming games there's like, oh, you go through levels of the mines and you go up or down the mines in order to get better equipment, right? Well, the problem is that in order to get to the Harvest King eventually, you would have to go all the way to the very top of the upper mine, which is already a hard thing to do because of the time limit restrictions and energy restrictions. But then you would have to do that pretty much every single time you wanted to go see him. So it took a really long time to eventually, like, romance him. So it was just, I loved the guy. Trust me, I really did. But my God, was it hell to get to him. Yes, I hear you, Barn Cat. Sorry, he doesn't like me being, oh God, my model did not like that. But yeah, Barn Cat's being a little fussy. Let me get some water real quick. Let's see. Going on to, though, and this is a character I'm saying, not romanceable, But my god, should she have been, is Mira. Mira. I'm putting her in B. But she should have been romanceable, okay? I will fight Natsume, Seed, whoever is in charge of Harvest Moon and Story Seasons now. They should have made Mira romanceable, okay? She is an older woman you meet in game who is like, yes, I understand why they didn't make her romanceable. She was admittedly mourning the loss of her past husband, but he passed away like a year ago. It wasn't a recent thing. That sounds horrible. But she really was this very sweet, she was very solemn. I can be a rebound. Hey, yes. She was very, very sweet. I really if memory serves, I think she is a jeweler. She was a jeweler, who, when you meet her, she is mourning, she's basically revisiting her husband's grave. Again, what a way to meet a person. But also, she's really pretty. She's really pretty and talked with this, really sweet maturity that I liked. Yes, I have a type. Don't point it out. I'm gonna get self-conscious. I still vouch that they should have made her romanceable, okay? They really should have. Valid of me. Thank you for enabling me. And on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, we have Fritz. Fritz belongs in S tier. And I know you're looking at this little guy, and you're like, he's just a little guy. What? What do you mean? I thought you liked the mature characters. Now hold on. Hear me out. Not hear me out, but you know what I mean. Let's put our listening ears on. Fritz is a great example of how to write a boy of failure who isn't incapable of doing anything. Fritz is from the first installment of what is now known as Story of Seasons, which is basically, for folks who don't know, there was a huge divide when Harvest Moon, first of all, Harvest Moon in Japanese is Bokujo no Monogatari, right? And it's still released as that. It's still released as that by the company who does it. But for American release, they went through a company called Natsume for the longest time. Now, Natsume and the parent company for Harvest Moon got into a little hissy fit about naming stuff. And basically, the Harvest Moon games you know of now are not truly Bokujo no Monogatari, right? They're not the true versions of the game. In Japan, the games are still listed as Bokujo no Monogatari, but Harvest Moon is now under Natsume. It is a completely different series than it was before. Story of Seasons is now the new title for Bokujo no Monogatari. And Fritz comes from the very first installment of that Story of Seasons game. And first of all, Story of Seasons was very, very... I loved that game. I loved that game a lot. It had a very beautiful, beautiful art style to it. I really liked the mechanics of that game a lot. 3D models were a little funky at times, but I think they really worked well with what they had. And Fritz, in that game, Story of Seasons, you actually have rival farmers. Not just like rival marriages, or not rival marriages necessarily, but rival farmers. And these farmers, you would have to constantly go back and forth, because you would have to compete basically for farmland. And you would have to be like, hey, listen, I want to have this farmland. Okay, well, this person got it first. So you would have to compete in contests to see who, it was this whole thing. It was a really, really cool thing. Fritz was actually one of the rival farmers to your character, and he was a man with barely 2 pennies to his own name. Uh-oh, music stopped. Give me 1 second. Oh, one moment. Put one moment here. One moment. Yes. One moment there. All right. Okay. There we go. Music back. Um, Fritz is very much like dude has all these schemes to make money, and I say schemes. He is a hard worker in the game. But he's like constantly like, I won't lose to you, rival. Like very plucky. If he wasn't your rival, he is 100% an anime protagonist kid. You know, like the I'm gonna become the best farmer in the world sort of like character like vibes. Constantly running into money problems because he's too nice. Constantly in over his head because he's like too ambitious. But I prefer that. I prefer that to a character who is just kind of like, oh, I guess I'm the best, whatever. Yeah. I prefer characters that like actually actively try to always be better versus characters that like, at least these days, I like characters that are always actively trying to be better. And I'm gonna say something. I would have been that, yeah, Silent, I don't want to call you out here, but, I feel like he is very Banzoin Haka coded. It's the best way I can put it. He is very Banzoin Haka. He is very Haka coded. So I feel like if you, I feel like if there are any Hakitos here, you would like Fritz. You would like Fritz in a heartbeat. Oh my gosh. All Stars reference. Yeah. They're huge inspirations of mine. I really like Hollow Stars a lot. They really did kind of inspire me to take the plunge and start doing all this. So I really do like them a lot. But anyway, sorry, I'm getting off track. But as soon as you said it, I would have eaten that up if I played it. I was like, yeah. And another character I really liked from these Story of Seasons, this was from Trio of Towns, was Wayne. And yes, I do have 2 cowboys. Please, again, do not call out my type. Please. Not gonna lie, Matakadachi ne K-Fever. Oh, nice. I really have to start watching more variety of folks, but I really do like checking in every so often to Ina and Kiara's streams. I really do. I like their vibes. They are very hardworking folks, and I really dig them. So yeah. But getting back to the point of Wayne was another character that I really liked. He was cowboys are cool, so understandable. Yeah, okay, yeah. I really like. There's something really nice about the cowboy character because oftentimes these cowboy characters were like very, I wouldn't say chivalrous. I guess I would call them chivalrous in a way, but they were very like, very sweet. They didn't mean to come off as like playboys, even though Wayne technically kind of was written. I wouldn't say he was written as a playboy, but he he definitely got a lot of female attention in the games. Hold on a second. But he really didn't call himself a playboy. He really wasn't looking for that. He was just very sweet, very kind, and that sort of kindness attracted attention, basically. I mean, as a scarecrow, I feel like you have a lot of exposure to cowboys, so okay, yeah, when you put it like that, it does make sense. It does make sense. But yeah. Oh my gosh, we're finally moving into my other biggest love, Rune Factory. Rune Factory and we're putting mana in... Yes, Barn Cat. We're putting mana in A tier. We're putting mana in A tier. I feel comfortable putting her in A tier. Rune Factory 2, yeah, that's where mana is from, which is Rune Factory 2 was my first Rune Factory game, and it was the first time I had played a Harvest Moon-like game that wasn't Harvest Moon. For folks who don't know, Rune Factory was originally, I believe it was a spin-off of Harvest Moon before it became its own thing. But Rune Factory was a DS. It started off as a DS game, and started with just Rune Factory, titled A Fantasy Harvest Moon. And you played as a amnesiac. This is always the storyline for pretty much every single game except for one. But it's like you're an amnesiac who comes to town and starts a farm while trying to solve, town's problems with monsters and, dungeons and all that stuff. So it's a very, very seamless blend of like farming and fighting in a way that's like very, very unique. I really like it because like as much as there is like a fantasy RPG element to it, there's still the farming element, which is still very equally important. And Rune Factory 2 was a very odd version of the game in that they haven't done this since, and I really think they should try to do it again. But in Rune Factory 2, there is 2 stages of the game, I would say. There is the first stage where you're playing as your original character, who is his default name is Kyle. Of all things, Kyle. Yeah, I'm a fantasy lad in a fantasy world of Narad. And his default name is Kyle. Yeah. I never named him Kyle. I think most of the time I went with a name I went with a more, in my mind, a more fantasy sounding name like Elliot or Marcus or something a little bit more like old-fashioned, because Kyle is a pick. Kyle is a choice. And yeah. But then again, they named one of the elves in town Jake. Like from State Farm. So it's a choice. It's a choice. But I really liked. First of all, I really like all the characters in Rune Factory too. But Kyle is my boss's name. Yeah, so even less reason to name him Kyle of all things. Which is even funnier because hold on. Hold on. Am I remembering this right? No, it's okay. So to give you another idea, the protagonist name of the first Rune Factory guy was Raguna, which still has that really cool like fantasy feeling to it. So going from Raguna to Kyle? Yeah, no, not happening. What was it? Anyway, the whole point is that Rune Factory 2 was very interesting in that like the first stage of the game, you're playing as Kyle. And you basically get the farm started, you go around solving town's problems, and then, like, after you get married and have a kid, the second phase of the game starts, and you pick up as the kid, like, 8 years later. So yeah, you're playing the game 8 years later as a kid, picking up where your father left off, and trying to figure out the mystery of where did dad go and what's happening to the town. And it's this really, really cool thing. And you can do like little play marriage in that game. It's a very, very interesting game. Again, I really, really wish they did it more. And it's so, so cool. And when I say play marriage, it's like, the kids playing house and stuff like that. It's such a neat take, right? It's so cool. And you also, again, rival marriages come back into play, and the kids of the next generation you actually meet and you're like, oh, that's who married that person, or oh, you did, oh, I see. I wish they re-released Rune Factory 2. Oh my god. If they gave Rune Factory 2 the facelift that Rune Factory 5 had for some of the characters, oh my god, that would be amazing. Oh my gosh, because anyway, we're now moving into Rune Factory 4, which is my second favorite game of the series. Rune Factory 2 gets the special place of being nostalgia. And then you have Rune Factory 4, which I think is the better mechanics-wise. And it has a lot more interesting characters, I would say. So you have my personal favorite bachelor from Rune Factory 4 is Dillis. I always called him Dylus, but I think it's supposed to be pronounced Dillis. Cause okay, how would y'all say the name that's spelled like this? How would you say this? Because I thought it was like the name Silas. You know, like, I thought it was like the name Silas, spelled S-I-L-A-S. So I figured D-Y-L-A-S would be pronounced Dylus. And that sounds cooler than Dillis. But I think it's supposed to be Dillis. Yeah, Silas Briarwood. Yeah, kind of like very similar to Silas. So I always thought it was supposed to be Silas, but I think it is supposed to be Dillis. Oh, you could see Dylan. Oh, that's true. I guess so. But then why not just name him Dylan? I mean, I know why they didn't call him Dylan, because, like, he's this really fanciful, like, fantasy character, like, truly, by the way, not a human character. This is, unfortunately, where, when I was playing, Dillis sounds like a pickle brand. It does. Named him Percy. I think there is a Percy in Rune Factory 4, or Rune Factory in general. I want to say there is a Percy or a Percival or somewhere like that, but I don't know. But I'm gonna call him Dylus. Because they don't actually. Oh wait, no, they do say his name Dillis. They do actually say his name Dillis because there is voice acting in the game. I forgot. Dang it. Dillis was my personal pick. He was a I believe a half monster. So like he has a monstrous form, which is, by the way, in that world, half monsters are different than were people. This is an important distinction for a future candidate, and you'll see why. Half monsters, at least in Rune Factory 4, were there was only like 4 or so of them, but they were like 4 half monsters who were basically like, I forget the connection of why they were half monsters, but they had a monstrous form you had to fight before you were actually able to like recruit them into the town. So I first of all, I gained a connection through a lot of the characters that way. Like the characters that, oh my goodness. Hey, Barn Cat, stop yelling at me. Stop yelling. But I really liked Dillis. He was, again, another classic example of like somebody who was very obviously tsundere. You could like, I think what I'm realizing now that I'm talking more about it out loud is that like I don't like characters who are mean, who don't feel like, characters who are mean and you don't know if they're just assholes or if they are just bad with people. With characters like Dillis and like with Gray, it is very obvious they're just really bad with people. They're just really bad at communicating. When it comes to characters like Shane, I felt more like, oh, you're just kind of an asshole. You're just kind of an ass to me. But Dillis, I liked him a lot. And he was also very, very sweet to you once you actually like romanced him and started dating. Now, this one actually was a recommendation. Somebody put this out. Somebody told me, it was like, "Hey, how would you rate this character?" He was one of my least favorites because of his writing. And to that I say I agree. I did not like Keel. One, on top of the fact that he has can have a free punch on the very bottom. Yeah, punch away at Rick all you want. um for Keel, who is the character in the green cape, and unfortunately did cut off his head. But all you need to know is he kind of has a yellow bowl cut. Yellow bowl cut, very generic kind of looking. Not very interesting. Very young face. He has one of the weaker writings in the entire game, and again, I never felt comfortable romancing him because I was like, oh, this is a kid. This is very clearly a kid. But no, he was romanceable, and I'm like, oh well, okay, all right, interesting. So I never win for him, and I would agree. I'm putting him into the, you know what? I'm putting him into the category. He's not an asshole. He's just kind of there and not very good at being just kind of there, if that makes sense. He's just kind of like the brainiac who you go to for answering things. Let's see. Next we have Arthur. Arthur is also, oh, shoot, did not mean to put him there. Okay, well, he's sitting in, sit down there, Arthur. Sit down there. Arthur is a prince character who, I'm gonna put him in C. I know a lot of people really liked Arthur because he's very much like a very princely character. He calls your character like my lady a lot. He has a very soft spot for glasses and cute things, and it lets you know he has a very soft spot for glasses too. I just never really liked him that much. And I think for a very silly reason is that, like, I just didn't think his haircut suited him. And I know that's rich coming from me because we have very similar, like, blunt bobs that are kind of choppy in places, but his just made him look kind of like a kind of lame. I'm not gonna lie. I think they could have gone with a much more interesting sort of look. If they gave him like a long ponytail, I think I would have been more interested in him as a character. Like a very long high ponytail, like. But I guess that would have made him look too similar to another character in the series named Forte, who's actually Keel's older sister. So I guess that would have made him look too similar. I just didn't like Arthur as much. I don't know. Visually, he just didn't interest me, so I never romanced him. But I do know that he was very sweet when you did romance him. And I want to say Arthur was voiced by Sam Riegel. So that might be another reason, because I was playing Rune Factory 4 around the same time as I was watching. Hold on a second. Hold on. Yeah, Scanlan. I know, like, I have this really, really princely character, but in one year, like, I'm playing Rune Factory, like, and hearing this, like, hello, my lady, how are you? And then it's just, like, I'm hearing Scanlan sing, no, Scanlan's hand in the other ear, and I'm just like, this is a very, very strong dichotomy that my brain cannot keep up with, so. I think it's the equivalent of, like, knowing a voice actor from one thing and not being able to equate him to another role. So, and not to say Sam did a bad job as Arthur. It was too strong of a jump for me. Fun fact: I first heard Sam through Jiro from Blue Dragon's anime. Oh, Blue Dragon. Did I ever watch that? I think I did watch a little bit of that, but I don't think I got very far. I do remember it though. I think I do remember it though. All right, getting back to things. So we have, wow, we're getting down to the tail end of things. And I realize now I put Fritz in here twice. But that was a mistake. Then we have Doug. I'm putting, and I know it looks very similar. I will explain in just a second here. Let's see. Oh, Xbox. Oh, that's right. Blue Dragon did have games to it. I forgot about that. Nice. Doug is another character from Rune Factory 4. I'm putting him slightly below Dillis, because I don't want to spoil things in the story for Rune Factory 4 because it has a really, really good story to it. But Dillis really betrayed my trust at one point in the story, and I'm just like, you're gonna have to do a lot to make up for this, buddy. You're gonna have to do a lot to make up for this. So, but he does get better as you get to know him. And I did end up romancing eventually to learn more about him. But yeah, so I ended up liking him a lot more. Now moving on to Rune Factory 5. Rune Factory 5, we're putting Murakumo. Oh no, Murakumo. I can never say his name right. It's, hold on, I have to type it out. Murakumo. He is the inn owner in the town of Rigbarth, the town of Rune Factory 5. He is a were animal. I want to say he's like some sort of hound or a wolf thing. Monokuma. Jesus God, no. Jesus God, no. Anything but that. But yeah, Murakumo. He is very, very, like, very, very sweet. But the problem is I can't really bring him up to folks when I talk about Rune Factory 5 because they think I'm a furry whenever I talk about liking him. I'm not a furry. I'm not a furry for liking him. Hold on. Let's see if I can. Like, but you have to understand. You have to understand he is really, really cool, okay? He is really, really cool. I'm not a furry. He is really cool. I know that just makes me sound like more of a furry, but trust me. I'm a furry, no judgment. Oh my gosh. How about this? It is. Let's change this. Okay. But so this. Oh shit! Hi Murakumo. Hi. You're huge. Can you shrink? Can you get smaller? Actually. Hold on. He's really big for some reason. Why are you so big? Shrink him down. Story behind Rick. Rick is an asshole. Plain and simple. Rick knows what he's done. Anyway, this is Murakumo. I love him. I married him so hard, so fast in Rune Factory 5. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. Look at this man. Please. Like, and also another character that is like, I think he's Awuga. Yeah, exactly. He is a character that like, I think this started my trend of liking the big, like kind of like the Big Brother-y sort of characters. Six Pack. Oh, trust me. He has a swimsuit sprite, but I was being kind. I was being kind in only showing this side of him. Okay? Yeah, good luck. Good luck. No, I want the swimsuit. Well, I also don't want, I don't know how hard Twitch would bonk me if I tried to show. It's not spicy or anything. It's just I don't know Twitch's like limits for things. So I don't wanna, you know, poke the badger basically. But Murakumo is chef's kiss. He's very, very interesting character. He's a character that is like, his niceness actually is a fault that he has to work on in the series, and you actually do like work. He's a great character of like, you actually grow with him as a character. Of like, his kindness is actually a huge detriment to himself and his business. Because yes, this is a business owner. He runs the inn in town. The hot spring is in town. and he's too generous to a fault. And both by the way, good looks just run in his family. If you look up his sister, who is Misasagi, I think her name is Misasagi. His sister, also gorgeous, and then his sister's kid, who you eventually meet a grown-up version of in the next game, also gorgeous. And you're just like, what the hell? What the hell are they feeding you guys? Why are you all gorgeous? What? Where's the fairness? So that is Murakumo, and I love him very much. I think he's very handsome. I like him a lot. And then, wait, I have a rune I never played. Oh, which one do you have? Which one do you have? Is it what game system's for? I can help. Oh, that's exciting. There's a lot of really, really good rune factories out there. I have played all of them except for Frontier and 3. No, 1, Frontier, and 3 are the only ones I haven't played. Every other one I've played all the way through. And I love them. It's on Switch. If it's on Switch, it is probably Rune Factory 5, which is the one Murakuma is for. Oh, wait, no, actually, Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma is for Switch as well, which I'm actually going to be getting to. Guardians of Azuma is the one that's more like Japan themed, is the best way to put it. It's less of a Western fantasy and more of an Eastern fantasy sort of vibe. It's also really, really good. I think the story in that one is really, really solid. I just recently beat it through myself, so I really liked it. And another example of a character I wish they let me romance. I like... This is... And if you're like, hey, wait a second, that looks familiar. It's because it is also Doug. It is also Doug in Rune Factory 5. Because he actually makes a cameo appearance. And he is a lot hotter in Rune Factory 5, and also much more mature, and also much more interesting in Rune Factory 5. It actually has story relevance. It actually has story relevance to Rune Factory 5. I think he's a little bit better in Rune Factory 5. So I'm just like, hey, come on, Xseed. Let me romance him. Let me get a second chance. Let me get a second chance at Doug. Saw Murakuma swimsuit. Hello. Yeah. But another, and I think this might be a bit of recency bias, but the next one we're going to move on to is Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma. I'm not calling it Rune Factory 6, because technically it's not Rune Factory 6. Which is a distinction I learned about just recently. So, let's see. This one, now, if I had trouble saying Murakumo's name, this is Murasame. Oh, no, that's Tsubame. This is Murasame. And I swear it's not on purpose, but his name is Murasame. And oh my gosh, you could grind meat on those abs, right? Now, Murasame, if you thought you could grind meat on Murakumo's abs, do yourself a favor and look up Murasame's abs, because damn. I swear my type has not just become muscly men. It's just that these are the most interesting characters from the games, and they just so happen to have a six-pack and nice pecs. But Murasame is a character that surprised me. Like, I originally saw him, I was like, oh, that's a really cool, like, samurai character. And then, like, I saw a heart event for him, basically, and I was just like, wait a minute. Hold on, what's going on there? Something interesting is happening there. And he is very, very sweet. He's a very good example of, like, a character who is, like, I think he's a very, very good example of, like, how being very driven is a bad thing. Like, that's all I'll say. I don't want to spoil anything about his story because it's actually really, really cool. But I really like his story for that. And he's also a very, very huge sweetheart once you actually start dating. Kind of a dummy, in some ways, kind of a sweetheart in other ways, but he's very, very solid. Very, very solid. I like him. Favorite character? Actually, my favorite character was Vexalia from Vox Machina. I liked Grog, don't get me wrong, but Vex the Archer was my favorite. I really like how Laura acted as I love how Laura portrayed Vexalia. I loved her struggles and all, seeing her come together. I really liked Vex. But that's not about. We're talking about farming games now. We're talking about farming games now. And again, another character that Rune Factory should have let me romance. Tsubame. Look at this beautiful woman. Like, hold on. Let's see if I can computer enhance. Look at this beautiful woman right here. Why is she not romanceable? Okay? Why am I being tortured like this? Why won't you? She's gorgeous, right? And she's this older woman. Again, damn it. I do have a type. Take me into heaven. I know. She's this really sassy, like, sales lady who you meet in one of the towns, and she's single. We know she's single. We know it for a fact. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to romance her. And yet the game says no. No, you have all these options. What do you need one more for? And to that I say, to be greedy. Let me be greedy. Let me romance her. She's so pretty. Let me romance Tsubame. Let me, please. Anyway. Oh my gosh, home stretch. I'm sorry. I realize I've also been yapping a lot, and I said I wanted to also go over some debut stuff, but I'll admit my throat is getting a little rougher on the edges, so I think I'm gonna get through what I can here, and then reveal the final category afterwards. So let's see. Going into Fields of Mystria, we have Hayden. I know what I said about not having a type. When it comes to men and being like, oh no, it's fine. I don't love men just for their amazing pecs. I like them for their personality, and yet I look at Hayden and I'm like, but the pecs are really nice. Personality. Hey, he's got a great personality. It's not my fault. The pecs are the first things I say. Yeah, exactly. What is he saying? He has such a big heart. It's not my heart. It's not my fault. His pecs are just in the way of it. Which is really funny because I really don't consider like muscles. I'm really not attracted to muscles. It really is a funny coincidence. I swear to God, it's a very coincidence. And Henry just goes, yeah. Like ultimately, what I was drawn to about Hayden was the fact that he really, really loves animals and is obviously takes care of them so sweetly and cares for them so deeply. I really, really loved that. So I really, really adored learning more about Hayden, and the fact that he's just like, but Henrietta, I'm like, no, baby, you're so sweet. And then Valen. Hi, Valen. Hi, Valen. Okay, I will say the one caveat here is that I'm intimidated by how pretty Valen is. Again, it's the same thing as the Harvest Goddess, to where I'm like, oh, she's so pretty. Oh God, I can't hang with the big kids on this one. She's too intimidating. I also just really like that she's so like very like androgynous. I really love androgynous looking characters. I really like, especially like I guess feminine androgynous, where it's like more masculine looking women. I really, really like that design. I really adored Valen. She's so pretty. But again, too pretty. I'm like, oh no, I can't possibly. And then Celine. Celine is very sweet. Celine is very, very sweet. I think she I think she is definitely intended to be very much like Mana in that she is the default bachelorette. In like very much like really the first bachelor. Oh no, actually she's technically the second you meet. But she's the first one, I would say the first like you do meet Baylor first. Yeah, the Fields of Mist, they go so hard. They're so good. I really, really love the like old anime designs they went with. Like, I think what I do like about a lot of the designs, like even if I don't go for them, all of them are so handsome and so pretty, and I'm just like, damn, there's somebody for everybody here. And then we have March. Oh, March. March he's a very sweet lad, but he reads his little brother to me. He reads his like pouty little brother. he very much like I know he like what I said about tsunderes, but to me, he reads his very pouty little brother. That is like he's a little brother who's like, you know, maybe like as a kid he was like, oh, like sibling. I really like very loving, very outgoing, but like I don't know. Maybe somewhere down the line he was like, oh wait, that's not the cool thing to do. It's cool to be aloof, and he just kind of stuck with it, and now he doesn't know how to stop. So I don't mind March's character, and maybe in another timeline I probably would have romanced him, but for me he's very little brother. So alrighty. And then I have one single entry from Coral Island, which again, another game with like an underrated and he's my sibling's second fave. I thought he was a lesbian. He does look like a lesbian. He does look like a butch. Okay. Hot take. If he was a butch lesbian, I think I would have been more interested. I think I would have been more interested if March was, you know, this butch lesbian gal. Like, I think I would have been a lot more interested in them as a character. But as it stands, he's just kind of you know, not bad, but not my cup of tea. And then we have Mark. I'm gonna put Mark in the A category. And Mark is from a game called Coral Island. I don't know if folks know about Coral Island here, but it is a farming game inspired a lot by Stardew Valley and Harvest Moon, but with a more Southeast Asian flair to a lot of the games. So a lot of the crops you're farming, a lot of the dishes you're cooking up, a lot of the things you're dealing with deal a lot more with like Southeast Asian flair. So there's a very heavy like Indonesian, Malaysian, Thai, Vietnamese influence on the game, which is really, really cool. I think setting wise, it's very refreshing, and it's a great summer farming game in my opinion. I didn't know about that. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunately, I think it's been it's been outshone in a lot of ways, or not outshone. What's the word I'm looking for? A lot of other farming games are came out around the same time as Coral Island, and it kind of fell to the wayside. But it's still really, really solid, and it's a small indie team working on it. And yeah, they really appreciated. I'm seeing things connecting to chat. Are we back? Hello? Did we disconnect? I just got a message that I was reconnecting. Are we back? Did we lose frames at all? Or team time to meet disconnect? Okay. OBS is just gaslighting me apparently. Great, love it. Love to see that. Ugh. Anyway, what I was saying about Coral Island is that Marcus is from Coral Island, and first of all the bachelors and bachelorettes in that game are gorgeous, truly gorgeous. Like Marcus is no exception, and so varied in body types as well. Marcus really blew me away in like the fact that he was just like, he really is this mountain of a man, and it's not like, oh, mountain but Dorito waist. No, he is a big dude and like really imposing, also very intimidating to talk to, because he's like got all these scars. I don't know if it shows, but he's got all these scars on his face, and he's actually part of like the adventuring group in game, like the adventuring guild you have in game. But he's also, again, another thing of like, has such a soft spot for animals and truly does a 180 in personality whenever he's talking to animals, and that really like solidified to me of like, oh, I could really get to know you better. You're really cool, and it's so good. So, oh my gosh, and I think with that, I think that's everybody. I think that's everybody I got to. I know I have Fritz on here twice, but we're not gonna go over that. So, but yeah, we got everybody. Oh my gosh. Whew. I'm realizing now I play a lot of farming games, and I still haven't played a lot of farming games. But man, I don't know what my taste says about me. But I think overall, my favorite characters are like, I think what I'm realizing is that a lot of my favorite characters are, even if they don't seem like the most reliable at first, they have to have some level of like competency, some level of like reliability, like, I mean, nice pecs definitely help, but they're not a requirement. And I have to be really interested to see how they evolve as characters, I think. Another Valid choices. Thanks. Farming game fun. They are fun. Do task. Do reward. Get reward. Watch crop grow. Watch animal grow. It's very satisfying to see tangible results for the things you're doing, you know? Good with animals has been reoccurring on this list too. Yeah, actually. Oh my gosh, I just realized that. Because Fritz, I believe, is really good with animals. Hayden as well. Who else on this list? Marcus, or not Marcus, Mark. Vaughn. I remember Vaughn also, like the cowboy in black is also like the animal dealer. Which is funny because Shane is on my lowest tier and he's good with animals. But I think it's the fact of like, I don't think I can rely on him. And then Rick is also good with animals, but we all know how I feel about Rick. So, oh my gosh. Well, thank you guys so much for, yeah, but he's Rick, exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you guys so much for coming out and hearing me yap. Let me switch over to the you know what? I'll take a picture of this later and then post it to social medias and stuff like that. But let's switch over to just chatting for a second. There we go. But thank you all so much for coming by. Oh my gosh, this was a lot of fun. I didn't think I would be able to talk for so long about all this, but I guess that goes to show just how much I have to say about farming games. And I hope I was trying my best not to like ruffle any feathers with like my choices or like my thoughts on the characters, or at least if I did have a different opinion than most people, I wanted to at least explain myself. I wanted to like be like, hey, wait, I know this looks bad, but hear me out, wait. Thanks for doing it. I like seeing things. Yeah. I usually am not one for tier list stuff, but I do think like sometimes it's a good way to get to know folks. Yeah. And now Barn Cat over here he's crying up a storm, so I think I might have to start wrapping up, get to feeding him, get to doing some other chores I have going on around here. But let me see if I can figure out how to raid, because I think I figured it out before. Let me see real quick. How to raid. How to raid. Oh, no, that's wrong tab. Wrong tab. Not what I wanted to do. Let's see who we can raid to. Not seeing anybody I know streaming right now. Let me. If I can type. Oh, actually, wait. I do see one person I know that I know well enough to I feel comfortable raiding to them. So how about we raid over to somebody named Flapjack Jackson, who is I don't know if folks know who Flapjack is, but they're a very, very funny artist in person, very prominent in the tempura community, and I think they recently got their own model, and it's really, really cool. So yeah, let's go raid over them. Let's see if I can raid over them. So thank you so much for coming by. Thank you so much again for coming by. I'm gonna switch to my. I think now is a good time to switch to my outro. Whee! Alrighty. Thank you again for stopping by, everybody. This was a lot of fun. Can you hear my music going? Can you hear the background music? There we go. Alrighty. So, no real raid message. So I think just, a simple like, hello, howdy, or something like that. Just, be polite when raiding into them. Just all that stuff. So, be courteous, follow their rules, all that jazz. So, alrighty. Thank you for coming by. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oop. Let's see. There we go. It's really nice.